Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is coming to you from Urbana, Maryland and Worthington, Manor Golf Club. Super excited to finally get this on the channel. For those that live in Maryland, I think you know that between this, Whiskey Creek, and PB Dye, and I'm going to throw it up on the screen here, you have courses. I mean, you have three of some of the best golf courses in the state of Maryland, in the DC metro area. I mean, it's probably, 8 to 10 minutes apart from each other. I only mention that because I remember the first time I played this, I had to choose between Whiskey and this, and I really enjoyed this course. However, Whiskey is another good option. It's on my channel too. It's a long-winded way of saying, man, there are some really, really good golf courses in the state of Maryland. If you look online, I think this usually cracks most lists top 5, top 10 for public golf courses. I think golfpass.com has this at number 1. If you look at other things like TripAdvisor and whatnot, this is usually within the 6 to 10 range at a minimum. And again, I use the word public because we're not comparing this to Congressional, TPC Potomac, Baltimore Country Club. This is one of the best public courses you can play in the area. And to really highlight how cool this course is, it has a long list of golf accolades. It hosts a ton of events. It's hosted, I think, 10 plus US Open qualifiers. And I actually think either last year or within the last 2 years, there was one just hosted. And I think, for a course to be able to do that, it has to be in good shape. So kudos to the Worthington Manor Golf Club team. I think I played this in spring of 2024. It was in fantastic shape. We are going to be playing the blue tees for today, and the clock's in around 6,500, a little over 6,500 yards. And here we go, hole 1. I wouldn't even call it a handshake of a hole. Take a look. Everything's in front of you. Look at the left-hand side. Everything left of that fairway bunker, it's like a downhill, super deep rough. So even though it looks open, you definitely don't want to go left. You almost want to treat it like it's OB. You're kind of dead. And then this is what's really cool about Worthington. You're going to hear a lot of people call it a shot maker's course. So not only are you going to have a lot of forced carry approach shots, there are some cool tee shots, but understanding the greens, where to miss and where to hit, becomes even more important in this. I get really lucky to escape with a comfy 2-putt par. I actually blasted that 9-iron left. I pulled it like crazy. And then here's hole 2, and you can see that everything left, very similar to hole 1, is kind of dead. You want to go right, so I kind of pushed it and hung it out there, so I'm in the first cut, luckily. And then I'm going to live narrate this because I get so lucky. So look where the pin is and look where my shot is, but listen in to what happened. That was the luckiest shot ever. So you saw the ball was above my feet. I thought it would pull and I didn't. I hit the top of this mound and it somehow rolled to like 7-8 feet. That's the luckiest kick ever. Hey, I think everyone's heard the saying, it's better to be lucky than good. I will take it. But look at that putt. It just 90 degree, takes an exit ramp, snaps away. Absolutely insane. But I think that's a really good way just to explain how crazy this course is. Some of the greens are just so ridiculous. And if you can get away with 2 putts on most greens, you'll be happy for today. We have a 411 par 4. I think this is handicap 1. And you don't want to be where I just ended up. That left rough, the ball was so above my feet. All right, that was a little dramatic. I did lose my footing, but that was dramatic. Listen to this, where I end up. All right, so I ended up short. You can see that the grass was just cut. It's all over the place. What's the ruling here? Do I get a free drop on grass that obviously isn't taken care of? I don't know, but here. No, we didn't take a free drop for all you internet bullies out there. We played as it lies, but that ball came out super weird. It was like rough, but not rough. I don't even know how to explain it. Anyway, this looks a lot closer than it was. I think this was still like 10 to 12 feet. It's a really good stroke, and I'm not mad at that, but we'll take a 2-putt bogey. We'll just have to settle for it. This is handicap 1, so you know what? Settling for bogey, not a big deal. You might have also noticed I've added the distances, and this hole in particular. Take a look at this. Oh my, you big, strong man. The wind, I don't know if I called this out earlier, the wind was absolutely insane today. I had a lot of tailwind when I clocked this, and I actually used my rangefinder to confirm it. Went about 315-ish off the tee. Everyone knows I'm not a long hitter, so yes, I did get some some benefit from the tailwind, but you're going to notice some drives today. Some of them go like 240, 250, and some go 300 plus. And that second shot, it's funny, drive it as far as you'd want. If you can't have a good approach, then what's the point of having a 300 plus yard drive? And if it wasn't clear, I actually didn't hit the green there. That was on the fringe, and I get super pumped. So that was technically a one putt save for par, and we will take it. And here we have the first par 5. Here's what I don't get. This hole is actually the complete opposite direction of the last one, meaning the wind should have been hurting. This still ends up going, I think, close, a little over 300 yards. I was a 503 and I now have 190. I'm using 5-iron and I'm thinking the wind can somehow help get it there. You're going to notice I'm a little upset at the swing. You're going to see me, basically, I hit it like 2 or 3 grooves really low. That was a borderline thin, sculled just shot. But you'll notice as I'm driving up, I don't know, I guess this is just my day today. I got so lucky. You'll notice right there, the ball is on the left side of the green. We're about 50, 60 feet away. I thought this was going to go 100. You see back there where I'm pointing? I thought that's where my ball ended up. I couldn't see. I know I thinned it. I somehow hung on to the green. So if we have a putt for eagle, we're just clean living. Come on, let's get one here. Wow, doink, right off the pin. Is anyone ever mad at a tap-in birdie? No. That 50, 60-foot putt, I mean, that's probably shot of the day so far, even over that 300-yard plus drive. And here we go. We have, this is one of the coolest holes, if not the coolest. It is so visually appealing. You can see I put the camera a little further back to give you the full view, and I don't even know if the camera does it justice. Beautiful, beautiful par 3. Lots of bunkers, water, the rock wall that it has, just a really cool hole. This is just a good example of how the green complex is pretty tricky. So I took a lot of extra clubs. This is the first time that I really felt the wind hurting. I think I took about 15, if not 20 extra yards, and I still ended up short. Now, albeit it wasn't the best strike and best shot. It wasn't terrible, but the wind really aided. So you know what? I am not mad at a 2-putt bogey and move on. That is a tougher hole in my opinion, especially given there's a lot of OB and traps around. So back to the wind behind us. We now have a 339, about 340-yard par 4, and you can see we have about 60 yards. I barely swung that and it flew 280. So I'm living the life. This is such a difficult shot. I had to flop it. You can see the tracer. I landed it exactly where I wanted to land it, and it was just impossible to hold the green. So shows you a good example of how you ideally want to be in the fairways as much as possible. If you can control the spin and get it to stop. I was in the thick rough, so where I landed it was pretty much all I could do. And so if I could, oh man, I was going to say if I could walk away with a 2-putt par, I'd be happy, but that's a 3-putt bogey. And just as a quick side note, you're noticing from their website, I didn't get to play hole 8. It was the most ridiculous thing ever. I had a foursome in front of me. They were the slowest group ever. So yes, I'm a solo behind a foursome, but they were so slow. They didn't speak English because I came up to them and tried to explain what I was doing. They wouldn't let me play through. Either that or they didn't understand what I was asking. I just said, you know what, forget it. I'm just going to skip a hole and I'll come back for it. Unfortunately, we don't come back for it. So we go straight to hole 9 and a par 5. And this is a really cool par 5, by the way. It's a quirky hole. You'll notice, and you can't see it in the camera, but there's a creek down there. So that's why I take an 8-iron just to lay up. I want to chop off about 150 to 160 and leave myself with a pitching wedge in. We end up with an over-the-top pull hook BS shot that puts me into this rough. And oh no. I was going to say, you know what happens when I'm in the deep rough? I struggle. That is the dreaded shank. You really hate to see it. We end up taking a drop, and for all of the internet bullies out there, it's like, Mark, you should have dropped on the other side of the creek. Well, you know what? I didn't feel like walking back, didn't feel like driving over the bridge. I just skipped a hole with the foursome, and they just teed off, so yeah, it wasn't happening. You can notice all the stress and anxiety going on. I hit a terrible chip. I blade that chip over, and you know what? We pick up for triple bogey. So this is the first time ever I actually take a few minutes to myself at the turn. I actually just take a quick walk, mentally reset, and let's lock in for the 9. This might be shot of the day. So it's a 340, 350-yard par 4, and take a look. I have about 35-ish yards left. So you're asking, why do I have putter? In no world do I ever use putter here. I think a wedge or even a bump and run is the right play. I just wanted to be able to say for, it's a cool story, I went driver putter on this hole. So yeah, take a look where my putt ended up. It actually was the good line. I just didn't give it enough juice. So we're now putting off the fringe, and it goes back to my saying I said earlier. You can hit it 320, 350. It doesn't matter. If you can't get it on the green, if you can't make putts, then yeah, drive wasted. But Anyway, we end up with a one putt par, and we are moving on to hole 11. Just another straightforward par 4. You can see it's a forced carry with water. It's a really narrow fairway. I don't know if I've done a good enough job highlighting it. You guys have seen what happens when you're in the rough. It's super thick. There's multiple cuts. Do not get in there. But you'll also notice the fairways are not exactly the easiest things to find. There are some holes that are so tight, so narrow. I recommend, especially for longer hitters, where if you have really good control of like a 3-wood or a driving iron, there are going to be some short par 4s that you've seen that I'd recommend you take. And let's move on to probably my favorite hole of the day. This is handicap 2. I think it's handicap 1, and I'm really proud of this shot. You see that tree? There's one solo tree, and I think everyone uses it. I was aiming at that tree, and you want to be careful if you're a long hitter. You can see on the mini map, look at this, there's a big kind of creek force carry for your second shot. If you're over 270 plus, then you're probably in that creek. But you can see here, it's going to look like a miss hit compared to where the flag is. Take a look at this. Everything short, left, and long is just dead, but there's so much room right. This is one of the holes you just want to go middle green, hope for a 2-putt, and move on. If you birdie this hole, just hats off to you. This hole is insane, and I didn't even talk about the green complex. So I remember when I played with a really long hitter, a buddy of mine, about a year ago. I think he took just like a 4-iron and sent it and left himself a full shot in. I strongly recommend that play, but since I don't drive it that far, and wind was hurting, by the way, my 260-ish drive it was perfect. I did end up in that rough, but oh well. You saw I got on 2-putt and walked away. And then here's the par 5. That was a snap hook. I think the tracer was very generous there. It was a really, really bad snap hook, and I actually gave myself about a club length. It was basically right next to the cart path. I'm not playing off the cart path. Go ahead, sue me. We end up taking just a layup club, and then let's rely on the short game. That ball actually hit the pin and bounced off. So you can see it leaves me with about 6-7 feet. This would be a hell of a birdie considering I snap hooked my drive, and oh yeah, let's go. We're back in business. That's a good birdie. That helps erase that really bad triple from hole 9. And yeah, that hole 9, it's funny how golf works. You're always going to say, if I just had that one shot back, if I didn't do this, hole 9, if I didn't triple, we'd have a pretty good round. But you know what? We did it. Let's move on. This is actually a super cool hole, and it just sucks that the wind was... some of those holes I got the benefit for the 300-plus yard drive. I now have direct headwind in my face. My drive went nowhere, and we did end up snap hooking it again. I'm just kind of falling apart, and if we can just rely on the short game, this was a really, really good putt from where I was. Take a look at the flag. Did you see like how much it's moving? The wind was just out of control, so I know. I keep talking about the wind. I'll shut up now. And then this was a tee box under repair, so this actually isn't the regular box. I think the card... This plays a lot longer than like 135, 140, but for temporary boxes where we were, I end up with a stupid pull hook over the top again. I know it's a bad habit, but hey, we'll fix it another day. We end up pull hooking it onto the green. This is the longest putt of the day. I think I had like 80 plus feet. It was something ridiculous. I am so happy with this putt that I had, but oh boy. You know what? You'll take a 3-putt from where we were, all things considered. That was like a 5-6 footer that I thought I could have made, but just, you know what? Take your medicine, move on. We got hole 16 here, and you can see a big tree on my right. So I decided to play like my pull fade that I have. Funny enough, this is just my natural swing. If I ever need to just have a fairway finder, 230, 240, I just don't think. I just swing, and it ends up being an over-the-top fade. That leaves you, you got to hit it further than that, but I valued fairway after missing it the last few times. I hit a really, really good shot. The wind was in our face if it wasn't clear. I hit a really good shot, and the wind just knocked it down. But you know what? I'll take pretty much a 10, 15-yard chip, and when you're all district hands team, it's no big deal. You'll just get up and down for par, but a long drive there makes this hole much easier. If you're playing into the wind and hit a BS one like me, not great. And this is the thumbnail of the video. This is such a cool hole. I think Worthington has 3 of the coolest finishing holes, if not the last 2 at a minimum. This hole and the next hole, look at these tee shots. It's just kind of buried in with the tree lines left and right. It's a forced carry, bunkers. It was such a cool view, and I don't know if the camera does it justice, but hopefully you all saw how visually appealing and just beautiful this hole is. We end up short, and the rough, man, stay away from the rough. You've heard me say that a million times. I actually end up getting super lucky here. I'm going to play it off like that's what I meant, but I hit a weird spot and it ended up kicking towards the hole. You can see how lucky I got. That's the third time today. Like I said, better to be lucky than good. We will take it. This is one of those Bob Does Sports specials, the one-handed. It's always good, you know, no matter what. So we end up with a tap-in par. We will take that after a terrible tee shot. And look at this tee shot. Again, I think it's one of those that when you're standing on the box and you can just see the fairway, see the tree line, this is one of the most narrow and intimidating tee shots you'll ever have. I don't do this a lot. This is one of the first times you see I actually take the camera and zoom in on my ball. You can see it right there. And I was just really proud of this tee shot. It was intimidating, got it through, and I found the fairway. But I ended up taking this angle because I sent it to my buddies, just showing how cool it was, and we actually kind of clocked it. I think that one went almost, I think it was like 285, 290. We don't have enough to reach because the wind's in our face, and if it's not clear, I don't play 3-wood if people haven't noticed, so in theory, maybe I could have reached, but I just despise it. We end up taking my 3 hybrid to lay up and rely on the short game. That's the theme to my game. So we end up hitting a really terrible wedge. Good job, Mark. Way to rely on the short game. It leaves us about 15 to 18 feet for birdie. Not what you'd want, but a birdie look nonetheless. And of course we do that. It's so pathetic. We end up leaving it short. Let's not take this for granted. We look at it, even though it's about a 3-4 footer. So let's not overthink it. Knock it in, and there we go. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another video. There's my final score on the screen, and let me know what you think about this course. Is it one of the best ones? What should my next one be? I have PB Die, hopefully trying to play that soon, but shout out anything you all think, and until next time.